when you started out and with the Facebook posts, was the idea to sort of come into the book, or was it just an idea of you were watching people spending, or you're watching people using their money and you wanted to sort of guide them on how to do? How did that posting thing come about?
I think Sharp one Napap, right?
Okay.
I'll say Napapa because, I mean, people did not want to be told what to do. They did not want to be reading posts like that. But I just had this desire to just share, but mainly because it was COVID and a lot of our tenants were moving out, and their reason was that they were not financially stable, right? And it sparked an idea that if people are losing their incomes, then there must be a way that I can help other people then start something, sell something, because I want them to pay rent, right? So I started to say, okay, let me put it on a platform like Facebook. Back in the day, I would write some posts, but I would deactivate my account. And maybe because a post would catch fire and I'd get some backlash and be like, let me deactivate this thing. But 2020, I said to myself, let me just write. If it helps somebody, then it did. If it didn't, then it's okay, because I would have tried. Then I started writing all these posts, and I think within 7 days, I had like 7,000 followers from 400. Then I said to myself, if so many people are following, then it must be because a lot of them kind of resonate with what I'm saying. And then a lot of them started to DM me, asking questions about finance, about business. How did you start? Witness. Then I thought, let's just put it in the book and teach people how to do it. But most importantly, I think I was kind of scared of COVID, and my daughter was 2 then. And I thought to myself, I've built this business, I've got a 2-year-old. If I die of COVID, what sort of legacy would I have left for her? I mean, it's one thing to say your father left you a business or he left you some money, but legacy in the form of, can I still speak to her when I'm dead, right? Then it sparked the desire to say, I need to get into a space where I'm able to communicate my ideas to people. And as I'm communicating these ideas, like now, I took the opportunity to be here. 100 years from today, my great-grandkids will get to hear what their great-grandfather's thoughts were if I'm not there. You know, nobody has to represent me on my behalf. My ideas, my philosophy, my thoughts are going to represent me long after I'm gone. So looking at COVID, I thought, what if you get COVID and you die? Like, your daughter is 2. I mean, she didn't experience you that much. And I thought, okay, but if I've written a book, I'm speaking to her even if I'm gone. She'll understand what my thoughts and my ideas around mindset, around business, around property investing, around investing in shares, what those thoughts would have been. And I reasoned that even if somebody was to take away anything that I left for her, at least I've written a manual on how she can get it back. And that's why I put myself out into my book. And I'm glad I did, honestly.
Wow, that's profound. What have been some of your most viral posts? What post or what status has really gone viral?
In the beginning, in the beginning, I was still married, ne? And I wrote a series of posts on my wedding anniversary. I think it was my 5th year wedding anniversary. But I wrote posts about how we denied ourselves a lot of things, my wife and I, in the first 5 years of our marriage, to invest in our business and for the business to grow. So I was just celebrating that in a form of an anniversary. That caught fire to the point that my brother-in-law from Durban called me and said, what are you posting? Why are you everywhere? Why are people telling me about you being everywhere? And I said, no, I'm just celebrating the fact that we've built something and people can learn from that. Those posts...
Oh, instead of spending money on the wedding.
Yeah, and then I wrote another post about a demonstration between Prince and Jabu. That post caught a lot of fire. I said that Prince is one guy that has started his job, and instead of buying a car, he bought a cheaper car and started to invest in property. He bought his first property because the bank allowed him to finance the property, just like they can allow anyone who's got a payslip and wanting to invest in property to buy a property. And then Jabu, on the other hand, bought a nice car, and he eventually got married. So those are life decisions, right? And eventually the post gets to a point where Jabu, Prince, has refinanced his first property to buy the next property because he had some equity in the property. And then over a couple of years, refinances again to buy a franchise to continue to build his financial muscle, right? So that post caught a lot of fire. People agreed with it. People didn't agree with it. And I wrote another post and I said, a lot of people do have money to invest in property, but they'd rather buy a BMW, right? So you find a guy, he's earning maybe 30,000 rands. Instead of buying 2 flats in Kempton Park for 450,000 rands each, the bank would look at it as him affording around 9,000 on that income. He would rather buy a BMW because that would be financed immediately, right? So, and yeah, I guess the people who drove BMWs at the time fought me. But you know what's interesting, right? After I published my book, a guy drove from Secunda, drove to my office, and he said to me, I've been a mining engineer for the last 20 years, and I had not thought about buying my family a home because the first car I financed after he was a boiler maker, I think, and then he got a permanent job. He says, I bought an RS5 because in our industry, for you to be seen to be making it, you need to be driving a certain kind of car. And because my predecessors drove nice cars, as soon as I qualified, I got myself an RS5. I was doing extremely well. I'm staying in Secunda. I'm even being paid rural allowance, but I never thought of buying my family a home. So when I read your posts, I was challenged. And when I read your book, I was challenged. And I said, here am I, a 43-year-old man. I've got a nice car. He said to me, I've got clothes worth more than 500,000 rands in my wardrobe. If you open my wardrobe now, you will see all sorts of nice brands in there, nice clothes. But I don't even own the home where those clothes are. So that gave me perspective, and I sold my car. He wasn't driving an RS5 anymore, but the latest model or whatever car he was driving. And he said, I sold that car, got myself a cheaper car, and guess what? Applied for a bond, got my family a home. My wife that I've been married to for the last 7 years, for the first time, has got a place that she can call home. So that for me was like, wow, I didn't know that me starting to write posts, me writing a book can eventually influence someone to make those kind of life decisions to the point where they can literally give their kids a home. One lady, I talked about a cleaner, right? This lady writes to me as well in 2020. And she says to me, oh, I wasn't aware that with my 8,000 rand salary, I can actually buy a property as long as I look for something that's affordable and within my payment bracket, right? So I looked for a flat, I bought it, witness, and I continued to stay at home where I was staying with my parents and my kids, and I rented out that property. And I said, cool, congratulations, well done, my sister, on your achievements. And then a year later, on my birthday as well, she writes to me and says, oh, guess what? I now have saved 60,000 rands and I'm going to buy another property. Now, this is a cleaner. I'm going to buy another property.